Good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Maximizing Your Season of Singleness. And I have a guest with me today. I got Sister Tamara with me,
Hi.
and I don't have Pastor Daniels with me today. He said he has been married almost 40 years. He can't help us. No, he didn't say that really, but we decided to take a different angle this episode because we're talking about being single during the holidays and during the winter months. So that's something that we can talk about.
Yeah.
I think we can really discuss that with some of the other women and men out there that are watching the show. So how are you today, first of all?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good.
And thank you for coming on short notice.
Yeah,
Just kind of saying, hey, come
It's
on.
my pleasure. It is my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and like I said, we're talking about being single during the holidays, during the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I like to include Thanksgiving with that, even though it's in the fall.
Right.
But we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then it flows into New Year's
Yeah.
and Valentine's Day.
And Valentine's Day.
So we have a lot going on in a short
Yeah.
period. And on top of that, that's the time when I hear a lot of counselors and therapists speak on seasonal depression.
Yeah.
Because it's winter time.
Right.
It's cold outside. We can't do a whole lot. You can't really get out and mingle like you would want
Right.
to, get out and about. So you may be stuck inside and maybe you don't have family near.
Right.
It really just depends. And then also, it's what I've heard a lot of people say. They call it cuffing season.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if y'all have heard of that. Cuffing, cuffing, cuffing season is when we have to be careful, all of us, women and men, because
Right.
you have some that will come around and maybe you've dealt with them along the way here and there, but maybe they're not really serious. But during the winter months, they tend to get a bit more serious. You know,
Yes.
they want to spend more time with you. They're looking, they want to be booed up just to be, kind of cuddled up
Right.
while it's cold outside. And then when it warms up, then they're gone. So be
Mhm.
mindful. I'm just saying, be mindful. So you have all those things added to the mix.
Right.
The holiday seasons, it's cold out.
Right.
And then you're worried about cuffing season. So just be mindful. But so how do you deal with the holidays? You have family here?
I do.
Okay.
I have a lot of family here,
Okay.
actually. But I am from North Carolina, but I do
Oh,
have a lot
okay.
of family here.
Okay.
And for me, I love the holiday season.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
even though I'm single, it's not tasking for me.
Okay.
It's an
Mhm.
enjoyable time for
That's
me because it's
awesome.
time that I'm looking forward to spending time with my family,
Mhm.
looking for adventurous things that I can do. But then it's also a time for me to be able to reflect. Like I
Okay.
usually use that time as downtime for me.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Uh-huh.
those are those like sabbatical times that I kind of like to get away
Okay.
and really tune my ear back to God.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm usually doing during that time. I really am,
Okay.
because when
Okay.
you're working a lot,
Mhm.
you're just so busy. So you have a routine that you're
Mhm.
always
Mhm.
doing. And when you get off work, your phone is ringing or
Yep.
you're
Yep.
doing something else. So you're distracted. So usually during that season, I spend time with the family, but
Mhm.
I'm also making that time, as Jesus said, let's go to the other side so you can take a rest.
I love
So
it.
that's usually what
Uh-huh.
I'm doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I was going to talk about that towards the end, like preparing for new goals and lifestyle changes, focusing on God's direction.
Yeah.
But you brought up a really good point. I
Right.
love it. And you sound so excited about it too.
I am,
Uh-huh.
because if you know me, I'm at this church
Mhm.
24/7.
Mhm.
And I love being here to serve, but I also recognize that self-care is
That's
very,
right.
very important.
That's right.
And so a lot of times people don't want to give you permission
Mm.
to take
Mhm.
time for yourself.
Mhm.
They feel like you're depriving them if you
Mhm.
don't give them the attention that they need.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so what I recognize is that sometimes people will kill you if you let them.
They
Right?
That's right. Yep,
And they
yep.
have well-meaning intentions. They
Mhm.
don't think they're doing anything wrong because they're operating out of their own need.
Okay.
Right. But you
Okay.
have to be careful that you're not becoming their rescuer,
Mm.
because that's Jesus' job.
That's right.
And so what your job is to just be a support when you can and not
Okay.
an enabler. So what I found is that I do what I can do
Mhm.
when it's appropriate for me to do it.
Okay.
Right. And then I step back and let God do the rest. But
Okay.
I also recognize that I can't be any help to you if I'm
Mhm.
not a help to myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's awesome. Those are some awesome tips. I hope you guys are paying attention. And that leads into what I have listed here.
Okay.
Self-care, take time to pamper yourself.
Yes.
Change your perspective during the holiday season.
Right.
Like she said, start focusing on God so she can focus on herself and realigning herself with him so she's ready to start the new year off.
Absolutely.
Right. And once again, like we said, pamper yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And you don't need anyone else's permission to do so, to take care of you. So that's, to me, I look at that, especially if you have small kids or even adult children.
Yeah.
I know when my daughter was younger, co-parenting with my ex-husband, she would go out of town with her dad. Both the kids would go with my ex-husband, go home for the holidays. He's from South Carolina.
Okay.
I'm from Tennessee. I don't have any family here. My best friend is no longer here.
Wow.
So yeah, it's even a bit more tough not, being divorced. And my best friend and my other roommate we used to have, years ago, we were family.
Right.
And we got together during the holidays and we, did what we did.
Yeah.
We're like sisters. But not having family here or anything, that can be hard. But my daughter, she was like, well, Mommy, I don't want you to be alone. She would always say that. I don't want you to be alone. So you want me to just stay here with you? And I would tell her, no, baby, you go right ahead.
Right.
Go on with Daddy and have a good time. Because that was my time for myself, to pamper myself, to just do whatever I wanted to do, visit whomever I wanted to visit. If I wanted to go to different friends' houses and things like that, then I could do that. So I didn't have to worry about getting up early in the mornings. If I wanted to cook a little something for myself, I could, or I didn't have to.
Yes.
So it's really all about changing your perspective and not looking at being single as a handicapped or like there's something wrong with it, because it's not. If anything, being single definitely has its pluses.
Absolutely.
And it took me all these years to begin to realize that, because there are a lot of things you don't have to deal with that married couples do. And there are some things that, benefits that we have, with being married, of course.
Of course.
But we're not there yet. So we're enjoying this moment.
Absolutely.
But tell them a little bit. I didn't even ask you that, of who you are and what your roles are here in the church and why you need to, they'll see why you need to take some time to pamper yourself.
Well, I do serve in the ministry here at the church. I'm one of the evangelists here. I also work in the church office as the office administrator. And I serve over at our transitional house where I'm the director over there. So I'm operating in a lot of serving roles.
Yeah, you really do. You got a lot going on. So you need a minute to take a step back.
I need a minute to
Most
replenish.
definitely.
I need a moment to replenish, because you cannot serve effectively if you do not take those time out.
That's right. That's right. And then another thing I noticed, we tend to go on social media and we see all of the different posts, during the holiday season. Once again, like you said, you love it. You love the holidays, and I love Thanksgiving. I love to cook.
Yeah.
So during the holidays, if you watch TV a lot, you're going to see all the different commercials.
Right.
And of course, the first thing you see are a lot of jewelry commercials. He went to Jared and I said yes. You see all this on the social media timelines. But let me say this also, people. Don't believe everything you see.
Right.
Because a lot of times, people get engaged during the holidays and things like that. And I'm not hating on anyone. I'm not saying that it's not real. But a lot of times, when you're living life in that way, you don't have time to do a whole lot of posting.
You don't.
Yeah. And then sometimes I know from experience, from watching other people, I know firsthand, I've seen it happen to where people will post, take these curated pictures, so to speak, to make it seem as if their life is great.
Right.
And they have so much drama going on behind the scenes. So just be glad you don't have to deal with drama either.
Well, why do you think people feel the need to do that?
I think they feel the need. First of all, they haven't how should I put this? Identified who they are. in God. Because once you know who you are in God, you don't feel the need to, you're not trying to, I don't want to say please, but what is the word? You're not looking to prove anything to anyone.
Right.
Because you know what God has for you is for you, and you're too busy trying to go after what He's got you doing.
Right.
Than to be worried about what other people think on social media. And I notice even here lately, since I've been in the ministry, I don't do a whole lot of posting like I used to because I'm busy doing His work. I don't really have time.
And you said something so important earlier on. You talked about alignment. Being in alignment with God is really, really important, because when you're not, your focus isn't there.
That's
and when
right.
your focus isn't there, that's when the distractions become paramount in your life. And that's when frustration takes a front seat.
It does.
And so people start to have situational anxiety when those things start to occur. And so you have to help the person to understand, as you said before, having the right perspective.
Yes.
Just because this is someone else's life, this is where I'm at. It doesn't mean that I'm in a bad place if I'm over here, if I'm not having those same experiences. And the worst thing you could do is to compare yourself to someone else anyway.
That's right.
And it's a disadvantage to you because you may not have the same spiritual maturity. But why should you? Because your relationship with God is going to be different than someone else's anyway. And so you want to let God speak to you where you're at. You don't want God to come to you and try to minister to you based off of what Angie's needs are. I want God to speak to me and give me the revelation and the inspiration to begin to move in who He's calling me to be, so I can understand my identity and what my purpose is. But if I'm always trying to look at what Angie's doing, if I'm always trying to match what Angie's doing, if I'm always trying to be who Angie is, how can I be myself?
You can't.
And that's where the discontentment usually comes in at, because my perspective is not right.
You are so right. She preaching us, y'all. She's an evangelist, like she said, so she really is preaching to us, and she has good words for us also when Pastor Daniels is not here. So you better listen. But you are 100% right. When people are discontent with themselves, that's typically when the anxiety creeps in. That's when the depression creeps in. And that's because they don't know how to get in alignment with God. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to the best of us. It happens to all of us. Absolutely. I deal with anxiety from time to time. Just even this week with some things that are going on. So during the holidays, it can make it a little bit more difficult. It'll bring it, more difficult. It'll bring it to the surface, to the forefront. And that's because you may feel like you don't have anyone to deal with certain things with, especially during the holidays. But once again, aligning yourself with God, like you said, that's it right there. You have to stay aligned and centered with Him. You really do. And then also, this is a time of the year where, now we have COVID going on. So there may not be a lot of Christmas parties and things like that, a lot of functions. But when there are, you don't have to worry about dressing up. Going to these different functions, which can be kind of stiff and boring sometimes, unless you just want to go. You can decide what you want to do. If you want to stay home in your pajamas, on your couch, watching Christmas movies, eating, or whatever you want to do, you can do that. If you want to decorate your space in the girly way or very manly, in your favorite sports theme or whatever, that's up to you. You can do that. You don't have to take anyone else into consideration.
That's so important. Talking about conformity, because that's what just made me think about that when you just said that. Because oftentimes we do try to conform to what somebody else expectations are of us, and then we get out of who we really are.
Goodness gracious.
And then we just switch identities, right? And then we're wondering why we're going through this crisis, because we are not operating in who we are. We're now allowing someone else to control our thoughts, all our being, and how we should respond. And so when that happens, we're just like, we're all out of whack. You feel like your normalcy is no more normal.
Exactly.
You're operating in a chaotic state. And so it takes a lot for you to be able to get back to that place, because we know that people deal with grief in so many different ways.
Mhm.
And during the holiday season, whether you're single or married,
Mhm.
grief is real. You know,
Yes, it is.
and grief is not just about losing a loved one. It could be a loss of a job. It could be a loss of a relationship, loss of finances. People grieve in so many different ways.
Yes.
But the goal is, how do you now transition from feeling something that was so detrimental, the displacement of that person not being in your life, or that object or that thing that's no longer there, and how do you now transition that? How do you transition it to something that is healthy for you and now functional for you? So you have to figure out what's right for you, because Angie's playlist or plan may not be Tambra's plan. So I have to find a plan that works for me, because the rate by which I move is going to be different
That's
than
true.
the rate by which you move, because it may take me a little longer to accept the loss of my loved one not being here because of the position that person may have held in my life. And it's okay if I'm in that place, but it's going back to the perspective, and understanding, like, I'm in this holiday season. That person may not be here, but I'm still here. How do I continue on enjoying the space that I'm in without that person being
That's
here?
right. And that brings up something else. People are going through so much right now, and that's not to discredit your feelings, because your feelings are valid.
Yes.
But once again, like we said, put it in perspective. People are going through so much, and it could be so much worse than just being single. There's nothing wrong with being single.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. So think about that. Like you said, a loss of a loved one. You could be grieving the loss of a job. Even now with evictions and things going on, you're losing your housing. There are so many other things in this world, and we have all the things that are going on outside, with the shootings and things, and that's so very unfortunate. People are really grieving right now. So this is a time to really reflect on the goodness of God in our lives and how He has kept us thus far. So, and then I would like to also say, if you have kids, teach them about the reason for the season.
Yes. Important.
Yes, it's very
super important.
Yes.
And also for you to keep your focus.
Yes.
Because sometimes we'll lose our own focus about why we are going out shopping and buying presents. Like, are you buying presents because I want to reward this person, or because I'm in a giving spirit because God has given unto me?
Yeah, because a lot of times, I'm going to tell y'all, when I was married, every year Christmas brought about so much anxiety for me. And once we divorced, and it was because once the kids are little and you're co-parenting, if you have a parent that one of the parents has different beliefs, where one feels like, okay, their focus is all about material things or, the money that they are spending, and they're looking at you like, why aren't you spending this much? Even though your income may not be what their income is, and they may be getting income from others, from family members and things like that. So, now you're being judged, and that's tough, especially when you have little kids that are looking, they've been taught to expect things. So we have to start them when they're younger, teaching them about the reason for the season, about giving, and teaching them about Christ and how He died for us. He gave the ultimate price. He paid the ultimate price for us to be here. So, and I would like to think maybe even have your kids, we have angel trees everywhere.
It's super important. Super important to keep them in touch with the reality of some other people having a need outside of what you see, because everybody doesn't talk about what their need may be, but taking them to go volunteer at shelters, help provide meals, or even just gifting up toys and just dropping them off at a shelter. I mean, it's so important to help keep them in line with understanding that this could be you too.
That's
and
right.
I can tell you, as a single mom, mom for a very long time and a divorcee as
Mm-hmm.
well. It was very hard when you transition from going from two incomes to one income. So now you got to set a different set of priorities, like what's important. So the children always want this, but you over here thinking about how I'm going to get these bills paid. And so you have to look at the perspective, like you said. Jesus is the reason for the season, and he will always provide. And so when you're looking at that and you're sitting down and having conversations with your family, your children especially, you know, they will respect you a lot greater, making sure when you make sure that you are prioritizing, you know, because then you're leading by example.
Exactly.
You know, the first thing that your child says to you, well, this is not what you did.
That's true. They'll remember.
They're always observing.
Yes.
Because they'll want to call you out, you know, but not in a disrespectful way, but they just may want to say, Mom, I don't remember you doing it that way. So you always have to remind your children that, listen, it's God's plan that we're trying to follow.
That's right.
It's this Holy Spirit that we're trying to allow to lead us in every aspect. And when you do that, your clarity of thought is different.
Most definitely.
Your clarity of thought is so much different. You're not waking up so frustrated every day. And when somebody says something that would easily offend you, you don't always easily get offended now.
That's right.
Because now you're like, okay, maybe they had a bad day. I'm not,
That's right.
Just chalk it up to this. I won't get so offended. But that's important.
That's right.
When you understand where you are, and like you said, that's being single, whatever season that you're in, it's not a handicap.
No, it's
not. A lot of
people
look at it that way. You know, I know people are in different areas in their life, but I never looked at it that way.
I think a lot of people look at it that way, like Dr. Daniels and I discussed in the last podcast, worth and worthiness. People feel like their worth lies in who they're attached to, being in a relationship. And I've been there before, you know, with so many people asking, why are you still single? Why don't you have where's your ring and this and that? And then you tend to want to go out and, you know, couple yourself up with someone that maybe that God that's not for you, just to kind of satisfy that need. But knowing who you are and God and walking in purpose, it changes everything. It changes everything. It does,
And that's interesting that you said that, because oftentimes people will say, like, when you're in ministry, they're asked the question, how did you know you were first called? And so my response is usually, I knew I was called when God was calling me into a relationship with him. It wasn't about the service at first. God was calling me to get to know him in a better way. So I was always craving more. Like, I couldn't be in his presence enough. Like, I couldn't, every time the church doors open, I had to be here. Like, if there was a Bible study, I had to be there. If I was at home, I had to be in some form of worship. And I wasn't replacing one vice for another. It was just that it was something that was just, I was just craving more that a person of the opposite sex couldn't give me.
That's right.
And so I knew it was more spiritual. So first I felt God pulling me into relationship with him. Then I felt God calling me into service for him. So that was the difference for me. But my perspective on everything changed when I really allowed the Holy Spirit to fully engulf and just come in and just really lead. And as you always say, surrender for sanity. Because I had no sanity when I was letting myself lead me. You know, everything was going wrong. Everything I was trying to do was just not working out right until I said, okay, Lord, what is it that you want me to do?
It's because you were doing it in your own strength.
Yes. And he will let you do it as long as you think you can do it. But when you finally make that decision to sit down and let God get in front of you and lead you, you will find that your life begins to maneuver in a lot smoother path. It doesn't mean that trouble won't come, because trouble is still going to come. It's just that you will respond to the trouble in a lot different way than you normally
Most definitely. You most definitely will. I can say that for sure right now. So, and we're going to have another podcast speaking on purpose also, because I'm sure a lot of people have questions and they want to know, you know, as far as your walk and everything. But just like she said, once again, that lifestyle change, you have to surrender. It's all about allowing the Holy Spirit to lead you, to guide you, especially during this time of your life. It really, every day, there is no specific time, But right now, because I know depression is real
Yes.
for some of us, anxiety is real, but God can fix that. The Holy
Yes.
Spirit can fix it. He'll change it just like that. But it takes relationship.
Yeah.
It takes relationship. Even when you're dealing with a co-parent, maybe that is not helping out, with the kids' Christmas during this holiday season. When you have the Holy Spirit, He will reveal some things to you about the other, maybe what this other person is dealing with. Like you said, you'll begin to understand a lot more.
Right.
And you're not going to allow it to stress you like you normally would every year when it, Christmas
Right.
time comes around. So, and once again, what else do we want to talk about here? I think we covered a lot of ground.
We covered a lot.
Yeah. So, and then something else we talked about, the kids giving.
Yeah.
Talking to them about the reason for the season. And then also maybe get together with friends. If you're by yourself, get together with friends. I know one of my friends mentioned Friendsgiving during the Thanksgiving holidays.
Oh, that's nice.
That is. I said, that sounds like fun. And maybe getting together and cooking a dish, each one of us, and just coming together and bringing a Christmas gift so we can celebrate together. But unfortunately, it didn't happen this year. Those two of my friends, they're both married. So I'm the single one out of the group. But the good thing is when you have great friends that are married, normally they don't mind you coming around, to hang out, and you can go from house to house, like we said. So that's something to think about, or just get together with a group of single girlfriends and bring the kids along if you have them with you for the holidays, and maybe do a little small gift exchange, set a budget, something like that, you know?
I think that's a wonderful idea because, as you mentioned, sometimes people don't have family members that are here, and so that you don't feel alone, that you do feel fulfilled, that you can enjoy that time with someone, because it does make a difference.
It does.
You have, people around you that you can laugh and, just have fun with. It makes a huge difference, because the Bible does tell us that laughter is good for the soul.
It really is.
So, you do want to make sure that you're fulfilling every part of you, because we are more than just a spirit. We are a mind, we are body. You got to feed the emotion just as well as anything else.
We do. But like she said, feed it in a healthy way, not with vices.
Definitely.
Not with vices. So no cuffing with anybody that is not here to stay. So, and then also we'll wrap things up. But let me say this. Now is a time also, like you said before, centering and aligning yourself. Create a space of peace in your home.
Yes.
Start focusing on what God has for you next in your life. His plan, not your own.
That's right.
Ask him what he's got next for you, and start preparing for next year. One thing I recall, and I'm going to tell you what really got me going, is hearing last year, the beginning of the year, or maybe the end of December, Dr. Daniel said, when he was teaching on vision, having a vision, and he was telling us to write things down at the beginning of the year. And he said, do not let this next year come around and you have not done anything different.
Right.
That really, I was already in that walk anyways, in that process, but then I knew I needed to get active in the ministry. God was telling me, okay, I need you to do a little bit more.
Right.
So this is a time to do so. Don't wait. Ask God what he wants you to do.
Yes.
Create that space of peace in your home.
Right.
Declutter, get organized, so you can hear what the Holy Spirit is trying to say to you. Because if you got all this clutter around you and just you're not organized in a way, you can't hear anything. Your mind, you're just all over the place. So you definitely want to do that, and then start planning, making those lifestyle changes for next year, so that, as he put it, you're not in this same position at the end of 2022. And then also be proud of yourself.
Yes.
Be proud of yourself.
Yes.
This is not a sad time at all. So be proud of yourself.
Yes, you always got to celebrate those small victories.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you only know what your victories are when you look at what you plan out for yourself.
That's right.
Pastor Daniels is always talking about, strategizing and having a plan.
Okay.
Because when you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail. As
That's
you
right.
always say.
That's
and that
right.
is so true. And that's one of the things that I've learned a lot being underneath his tutelage. And I'm so glad that I have that, because now every time I'm having a conversation with someone, even with my own life, I'm always planning out things, looking at stages like, okay, I need to do this. I haven't done this yet. Why is this taking a little longer? So then I know I need to go back in and make an adjustment.
Wow.
People don't plan for the adjustment because life happens. Just like COVID happened, life happens.
Oh, yes.
So when the adjustment comes, you can't stop. You just have to adjust for the adjustment and keep moving.
That's right. That's right. You have given us some awesome tips. I love it.
Listen, I am a fan of maximizing Sanders. Let me tell you, the valuable information that her and Dr. Daniels puts out each week, it is a tool. It's a jewel. It is a jewel, and it's a tool. But it's a tool to help you be better than what you were the week before, the month before, the year before. And that's what I love about it.
Thank you
it
so
evolves
much.
the person. So thank you, guys.
You're welcome. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to see positive growth and change, so like Dr. Daniels said, you're not in the same position that you were the year before.
Yes.
So, but thank you, Tamara. I appreciate you so much. This was awesome.
Well,
this was awesome.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to have you on again talking about purpose.
All right.
But guys, thank you for watching. It has been great. I really enjoyed this with Sister Tamara. So we will see you again next week. And please don't forget to like the video, hit the thumbs up, because if you do, YouTube it'll get promoted a bit more if you like it, and then share it with your friends as well. And enjoy your holidays, and we'll talk with you next week. Take care. Happy holidays.